In the previous section, we learned about Git workflows and branches. This is the last section of this course, automating pull request builds. In this section, we are going to take a look at how to set up Jenkins on cloud. Then, we are going to automate pull request verification with GitHub organization project. After that, we are going to set up a GitHub webhook in Jenkins. And finally, we are going to automate pull request verification with pipeline project. Here we are at the first video of this section, setting up Jenkins on cloud. In this video, we are going to understand why do we need to deploy a Jenkins on cloud. And after that, we are going to set up Jenkins on DigitalOcean. Our mission for this section is to create branches and create pull requests from those branches, do the code review, and then automatically Jenkins will trigger a build, the same pipeline that we are running on master, execute the pipeline execution, and post back the results on GitHub. In order to achieve that, we need to integrate GitHub with Jenkins. In our case, before this video, I was running Jenkins on a virtual machine hosted on my local PC. If we keep like that, we cannot create the link between GitHub and my local machine. So let's now understand the workflow that we are trying to achieve here in this section. The first thing that we are going to do, similarly on what we did in the last section, we're going to change a project, and then we are going to push this change to a branch, to a remote branch on GitHub. After that, GitHub will automatically trigger a new build or a new verification of our changes on our Jenkins. Jenkins will execute the pipeline and post back the result of the build, if it's okay or not okay. And finally, we as developers, we are going to receive the feedback. This is one of the workflows when we are using pull requests. Every time that you create a new pull request, GitHub will notify Jenkins to start a new pipeline. Only for this specific pull request, Jenkins will execute the pipeline for this pull request and then post back the result as a verification if this change is okay or not okay. As I said in the beginning, we need, in this case, Jenkins accessible publicly. So then GitHub can link to Jenkins in case of starting using webhooks. Okay, now we can start setting up our Jenkins on DigitalOcean. I have chosen DigitalOcean because it's very simple, but if you have another host solution that you would like, for example, Linode or AWS or Google Cloud Platform, you can choose the one that is more comfortable or is preferable for you. Okay, so before we really start provisioning the machine, we first need to install the DigitalOcean Vagrant plugin. So then we can quickly create droplets on DigitalOcean. Okay, in order to provision the Jenkins master on DigitalOcean, and we need only the Jenkins master, I have added this piece of code in our Vagrant file. So we have already the Vagrant file for creating Jenkins master. I have created a new one, so then you can quickly set up the new Jenkins master. And this section here is basically to define the provider. In this case, it is DigitalOcean. We also have some configurations from DigitalOcean. Here you define your token. This you will get from the DigitalOcean account. You need to set up your token there. And you define here the image, the virtual machine that we want to provision, and which region. In this case, I have chosen Frankfurt. and here the size of the machine. For getting the token, you will need to set up an account on DigitalOcean. Also, if you want to use another provider as AWS, for example, you can simply verify the Vagrant configuration or the Vagrant documentation to see how can you change the provider here to AWS with the necessary token and credentials. So this is correct. I have already my token, which I will not put here, but you just need to replace it, and then we are ready to provision our machine. So let's go to the console. And a little bit different from what we were doing before, we were executing only Vagrant app to start the virtual machine on our local host. Now we need to add one more argument, which is provider, and here in this case DigitalOcean. I'm gonna start this execution and I will stop a little bit because it takes some time, and then once it's finished I come back to the video. Alright, so now the provisioning has finished. You should be able to see a log, an output log similar to this one, saying that everything was fine, everything was configured as expected. And now we can actually access Jenkins master. For that, one thing that we could do is we could SSH to this machine. And in this case, we can use the same command as we were using before with Vagrant. So let me clean up this console. And now Vagrant SSH. Okay, so I'm in the machine. One thing that we could do right now, we could go to DigitalOcean and verify the IP of our machine, so then we can really access this through web browser. Okay, so if you don't have an account on DigitalOcean, you can create one here. It's very simple, it's very quickly. You just need to create an account, create your token, change the token on the Vagrant file, and after that, you will be able to see all of the machines that you can create. As we have created one, I am already logged in here, so I will reload this page and I will be able to see the machine that we have just created. So it took a little bit to create the machine. It was created half an hour ago. This is the machine, this is the IP address. I'm gonna copy here and I'm gonna access Jenkins. So from the standard installation, Jenkins is reachable through the port 8080. And as this is a new installation, we need to do the first setup of Jenkins. So here we first need to unlock Jenkins, which means that we need to copy the password inside of this file. Let's come back to our machine here. So now that we are already inside of the machine, we have SSH to the machine. I can cut this file and we have here the password. I'm gonna copy the password here, click on continue, and now you can select the default or the suggested plugins. So we're going to choose this one. Now Jenkins will install all of the standard plugins from version 2 of Jenkins. It will also take a few minutes to do that. Okay, great. So the installation of the plugins has finished. Now we can set up a new or the first admin account. In this case, I'm gonna use admin. Password will be a very strong password, admin2. Full name admin, and in our case, it will be admin@effectivejenkins.com. Let's save and finish it. And we are ready to use Jenkins. Okay, that's great. So we don't need another machine. We don't need a Jenkins node now because Things that we are going to do, they are very simple, and we can execute those via Docker on Jenkins master. So by default, we have 2 executors assigned for the Jenkins master. On production, of course, we should not do that. We should block the Jenkins master to be only the orchestrator and deploy Jenkins nodes. But here, for our example, that's enough. On your company, you can also create a subdomain. So Jenkins dot the name of your company or the domain of your company, and actually this subdomain will place to the IP if you want. For now, we can just use this public IP because this machine I'm going to use only for this course. After that, I will destroy this machine and this IP will no longer be used. So if you have reached this point, we are good to go to the next videos. And then, as we can see, this is available outside of my machine. So it's a totally hosted on cloud. We can access this from anywhere. So that's it for this video.